me.
Okay. Okay, ready? Hi, I'm Hillary.
I'm Davita.
We're the two Pilates Chicks. We're here in our studio in LA, and it's season 6, episode 9.
Yep.
And we actually have a title this time. Normally we don't sit down and have a title, but we have a title. And it's Stop Limiting Clients' Movements.
Yes.
That sounds like, what?
What is that?
What does that mean? And we kind of, I'll let you kind of explain, but we've been kind of seeing this, a couple of weeks now, like on social media and then with students in our training.
Yeah, we've been seeing it a lot where people are programming sessions for
Teachers
are programming sessions for their clients, eliminating a whole swath of movements for their clients because of a certain sport they do or certain injury they have or certain issue that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And
like taking a whole movement away or a whole
type of movement. Instead of working with the client, seeing what may or may not be available and kind of moving from there. And so it's been on our minds because we've been seeing this a lot, and it's kind of problematic because we don't want to limit our clients since Pilates is supposed to be helping the client be supported in the outside world, in their day-to-day, and in the sports that they choose to do, and any other sorts of movements outside of the studio.
And it's like just a Pilates to be able to move in all directions, which is why we have a studio with all the different apparatus and different spring and orientation to that.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about.
Yeah, and we have some previous episodes on the fear of flexion, the fear of movement, those sorts of things. Clients in pain, but
you can go back.
You can go back and look. But those kind of focus more on the client's fear of the movement.
And not really this is more for the teacher's, I would say, fear.
Yeah, the
of
teacher's
hurting
fear.
The client.
Yeah, of the client's movement because of whatever condition they have, that the client has.
The client has. And it's like, why would we want to take a movement away and we can kind of go into our own little case studies we had, but it's like if they're coming in and what are they doing in the outside world? Because if they're doing something in the outside world that is that movement, which most likely they are.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they walk straight and lay down straight. And
super rigid.
So why come into the studio and then have that taken away, and then they go out and do it and they don't have, like you said, that support
or understanding. Yeah. And I think one of the main examples of this is, let's say, like osteoporosis. So clients come in all the time with osteoporosis, and the general guideline is no flexion. And and no like loaded flexion with twist, especially.
Yeah.
And
these are all precautions and contraindications that we all learn as we go through our teacher training.
Yeah. And they're important it's important to know the generalized precautions and contraindications, but it's also important to specify them to the individual client.
Yeah.
So like we need to know the generalized issues and the generalized precautions, but they are very general.
Yes. And it is very much a liability when it comes to the test and when it comes to that. But also it's like you're not obviously going to it's just critical thinking. You're not going to put someone with osteoporosis into tower on the Cadillac.
Yeah.
Just like you're like, well, that's not going to go well. So I mean, you kind of. But what about like we talked about is finding a range that teaches them more support.
Yeah.
While they bend over to tie their shoes or bend over to pick up something.
Because that's the thing. I mean, so the most obvious movement that somebody's going to do all the time forever is bend over to pick something up.
Yep.
And
drop your keys.
Yeah.
How are you going to get it up?
Yep. And most people are not going to do like a very rigid back to like squat down to pick up, but some people might because they're afraid of that flexion. Yeah. And so we don't want to increase their fear of that flexion, but we want to teach them how to do it comfortably, safely, properly. So if somebody comes
where they're not compressing more.
Yeah, not adding to the compression, but finding the space in the movement to be able to do it comfortably
and safely. And also knowing like what the client can and can't do in terms of their movement. We can kind of talk about with what we were talking about. You've got things like osteoporosis where we have these guidelines, or stenosis or spondy or whatever it is, where we have these guidelines and we're asking. But the client that comes in and their wrist is hurting, or their arm is hurting, or their knee's hurting because of arthritis or whatever it is, and not going, oh well, then we can't do anything with that body part.
Yeah. So, like the example that we were thinking of was, we were hearing of one student that was saying, okay, well, their client had wrist pain. And we're like, okay, so we can't do anything involving the wrist, any loading of the arms, any pulling of the straps. But maybe the client's fine in some of those positions.
Well, and also it's like finding, like we talked about, finding what they can and can't do. So it's like saying, you know, like we say to our clients a lot, how do you feel about doing this today? What are your thoughts on this today? But also it's like, we talked about my client, Susan, that, you know, she's gonna have to have wrist replacement. And so it's a lot of like, she'll do down stretch, she'll do elephant, she'll do all of these things, but it's like she figures out what her range is and where and how much load she has in her arms.
Yeah.
And that's what we go with.
Yeah, so she is the control over how much load is going into arms. So you're not eliminating load bearing onto the arms, you're still strengthening the arms, which is really good for before surgery.
Well, and also because if you think about someone that has wrist issues, one thing we want is to get them out of their wrist.
Well, find how can you do a plank without
slamming into your
really
wrist,
heavy on the wrist. And I have some wrist pain. I mean, after having a baby, I have like a lot of wrist
a lot
pain.
of things going on.
And I'm hypermobile, and so my ligaments are, you know, have some laxity.
Yeah.
So I get wrist pain, but I still do all the weight bearing onto my arms.
Because it makes you stronger. But and it's like if you talk about, like we use a lot of the Kathy Grant work, and so there's one called New Cat that I give her a lot, where it's like, how much can you move out over your arms and back? You know, like giving this like, but teaching people where is your range, where can you go comfortably, and also that gives them confidence to go, oh, I can put myself here, I can support myself here, and this is how I support myself here.
Right, because then again, when they go outside of the studio, then they know how to support themselves as they do these other things.
Exactly. Because what if they fall down, right? And you've got to load. What if they've got to use their arms to get back up?
You have to press on your arms.
You have to press down.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's all about, we were thinking earlier before we hopped on, like, it's all about helping the client find where their range is, find how to support the body and that issue, and then also finding different orientations to work that region. If it doesn't work in one way, then we can find a different way to work it.
And that's, I think, what people don't think about is like, oh, well, they can't do any extension, so we can't do any like this or that. But it's like, well, what about on the Cadillac, or what about on here? What about here, where you have some support to go, again, where they can go.
Yeah, where they feel safe, where they feel comfortable, wherever their range is. Because often, like, if somebody has, let's say, like, non-specific, like, lumbar back pain, so low back just kind of hurts, there's no, like, definitive
like
diagnosis.
we did after the protest.
a lot of low back pain. And so if you put somebody on the long box for, like, pulling straps, that might not be the happiest place for them when they're having a flare-up. But if you put them on the Cadillac, maybe on the mat,
maybe it's better.
Yeah, and so they're supported, they can use their arms, they can use the push-through bar feedback with the spring. You can really teach the length, getting out of it. And so then maybe when you put them back on the reformer, then they can find the length. But we don't have to eliminate it
completely. Yeah. Well, it's like when we were talking about also guiding the client in that smaller range, is by guiding them and keeping them in that smaller range, like you said, we're giving them that feeling of, oh, you lengthen. You do this first instead of just cranking back or collapsing forward or whatever it is that you're giving them this feedback of, oh, this has to happen first,
Mm-hmm.
then see where we can go.
And that's giving them autonomy over the movement and learning how to find the support for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like our early example, if you drop your keys and you're like, okay, well, am I just gonna like?
And how many we drop our keys all the time?
I drop things all the time. It's ridiculous. So then, if you're just gonna like kind of collapse down, and like, of course, you can feel crunchy,
Yeah,
and icky.
and icky.
But if you know how to kind of like support leaning over, working against gravity, and coming back up, it's a completely different movement.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about how teaching the client that autonomy, like you said, is there's a lot of, we kind of talked about the workshops, and there's like, oh, if your client's a golfer, take our workshops.
Mhm.
You'll learn these exercises. Or if they play tennis or this or that, pickleball, these are the exercises. And we kind of talked about that we're not sitting there and just going into the same movement of something that they're doing in the outside world
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, a lot of those workshops, let's say, okay, they're like, okay, here's Pilates for golfers. And then the exercises that are given are tons of various types of rotations.
That is just like a golf swing or
Same kind of golf swing. And so if you're thinking like, again, like, okay, we don't want to limit what a client's doing. We want to have them moving in all planes of motion, all orientations
all
of gravity.
directions, yeah.
And so if you're going into a workshop where they're like, okay, Pilates for golfers and all these rotations, how to do fun different rotations, it's like, okay, well, we're kind of just adding to the repetitive motion injury
With load.
more
like you
load
said.
in the same exact plane of movement. And maybe we should also work counter rotation, work
Mhm.
rotation the opposite way,
Exactly.
work stability, hip mobility, maybe spinal segmentation. So you're trying to get them to like a PT open book exercise. You're
Mhm.
only working the mid back rotation.
Yeah, Kathy Grant has a great one that's a lot like that.
Yeah.
But
And there's so many things you can do that's not just limiting the person into like, you do a rotational sport, so we have to do rotation.
Yeah. we have to make your rotation better. It's like, no, we need to support that rotation.
Yeah.
That's the key. It's like you got to support what they're doing out there. But also, you were saying before we jumped on, I like saying that, jumped on, is that we've got to get the client to understand the connection of the exercises to what they are doing outside. So that they understand, oh, this is helping me with this.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the boxing incident.
Yeah. Yeah, years ago I took a boxing class. I used to take once a week, and I had obviously a lifelong Pilates practice, and I overheard one of the participants who it was her first boxing class. She's like, oh my god, I've been doing these Pilates classes, and now, boxing's so hard, and my Pilates classes aren't helping at all for boxing. And I just like stopped.
And I just pictured your head going,
like, what?
What?
What do you mean? My Pilates practice really helps my boxing.
Hello.
But I understood the connection since that's my profession in my life. She wasn't understanding.
She wasn't clued in by her teacher. Hey, all this work we're doing here is helping you box.
It's supporting your boxing.
Supporting your boxing.
I mean, and it really, I think for all of
or
these,
your movement.
For all movement,
Mhm.
yeah. I think all of these workshops where they're like, this is Pilates for X, like it's a very specific thing. I would argue that all of Pilates is beneficial for all sorts of sports
things. Yeah,
and things.
yeah. And it's not just like this exercise. And that's the other thing. It's like when students first start learning and they're like, oh, well, what exercise do you give for legs? What exercise? It's like,
yeah.
No, it's like everything is full body.
Right.
And you're just feeding into that client what they need out of that exercise.
Right, and that's where the cueing comes in, where you're giving them their focus or their intention.
Exactly.
And so when students are like, oh, well, what's this exercise for? You're like, well,
a million different things.
What does your client need? And if a client asks, oh, what are we working here? It's like, well, there's a lot of different answers for that, but depending on the day, well, we're here because I noticed blah, 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 or, we're working everything.
It's like, or you take it into like what we're talking about, and they're like, well, what is this for? Oh, this is helping your, extension. This is helping your hip, whatever. This is helping you, giving it so that they go, oh, that's why I'm here.
So they understand that connection point. Otherwise, I mean, if somebody's not a student of the body or movement, it's easy to just have that be lost. But having that connection point of like, okay, yes, this is helping your golf swing. Like, I don't know if we said it in the recording, but we were talking about before, like in golf, your sidearms.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it yet, but the sidearms we were talking about before we jumped on.
So on the reformer, if you're
there's no twisting and rotation, right?
There's no twisting. You're working, you can say, okay, you're working your sideline. That's obvious.
But it's counter rotation.
Counter rotation, because you're working the spring from one side of the body.
But you're working the same muscles that you use to rotate and hit the golf ball without going into that twist.
Yeah. So you're finding your stability, you're finding dynamic stability, because the mat's moving under you.
Sideline, like you talked about.
Yeah, and that all helps your golf game. So it's instead of like eliminating movements from somebody's plan or hyper focusing on specific things, we need to just have full body movement and really find that connection through everything to support whatever a client's trying to do.
And I think when we're talking about, we wanted to talk about this one because we thought it was so great, and this came from one of the students who's actually been doing Pilates for a very long time for herself, but she had a client that's a sculpture, and not like little sculpture, like big massive sculptures that she carries around. And her, I don't know if it's left or right, we'll go, one shoulder hurts. So when she started practicing with this student, she told her, oh no, I can't lift my arms past this point. I can't do that. But the student is like, but she carries these heavy things, and she lifts and she puts things, like she has things way up on a shelf, so she'll put them up on, so she knows she's doing that. Yeah. But for some reason, like we talked about, there was this disconnect.
So in the studio
of, oh no, I can't bring my arms, even though in her work she did it daily. And so this student did our workshop, guiding clients in pain. And so one of the things we talk about, like, is that range. Like, let the client tell you what range they can go without being in pain. So she told her, okay, we're gonna do arm circles, and you just make your circle where you don't go into that pain, though, where your range is. And the client did a full circle with the arms going up above her head and coming off.
Full range of motion.
Full range of motion. So it's kind of like this, autonomy for the client to go, you go, I'm not gonna tell you where to go, you go, let's see, here's your freedom, go where you can go.
Yeah.
But in the outside world that they're going into this movement, whether she felt pain or not when she was putting stuff up, I don't know.
Like reaching for the shelf, yeah.
Maybe, but she's still gonna do it, right? So why not in the studio give support so that maybe that gets better?
Yeah, it's more supported.
But the student had taken away all arms because that was her fear.
So
and then after the workshop, she's like, oh, wait a minute, okay.
And that's the thing, it's like we're seeing that the teachers are having fear of creating pain for the client, or feeding into the client's pain. And so I think teachers really need to have that critical thinking of, okay, like, what is the motion I'm asking for? What is the motion they say they can't do, or what they might be afraid of? Or what is the motion through the sport that they need to do, but what helps either counter that or support it or build new understandings. So it's really just more critical thinking and thinking more deeply about those ideas.
Yeah, and I think that goes kind of the point of the workshops that we're seeing kind of pop up. It's like you've got to be with the client, like we talked this partnership with them and communication with them, instead of just, well, we're gonna do this because this will help this.
Yeah, like a very prescriptive guideline of, these exercises help these things. And it might be true, like, a lot of people say this and this help back pain, and it's like, it can, but let's see what works for this client. and you need to adjust it to that client's specific needs.
Yeah.
And so it's again not about eliminating or restricting what we're giving the client. So we're not like, okay, yeah, your shoulder hurts, no arm work. Like, no, let's support it.
Well,
let's figure
support
it out.
Well, it's like, and I know a lot of teachers out there have clients, like you said, even with undiagnosed back pain. We don't know what, they haven't got an MRI, they don't know, it just hurts. Like, like ours, where it's achy after, standing and walking.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, you're not gonna go, okay, we can't do anything that's gonna you can't move in any way, shape, or form because you're hurting here.
Yeah.
Because what if you just say, well, what makes it seem relief a little bit? Is it when you bend over? Is it when you kind of go? What? And then they'll stand there and go, well, it feels really good when I do this, bothers me when I do this.
Yeah.
So they're giving you this information, so maybe you go, okay, well, we're not gonna go back here, but we might lengthen to go here. So you're going with what they're telling you instead of going, okay, you got back pain, so none of this.
We're not doing this. Yeah, you're going to where the client can go, helping them find what they can do. And I know for me, with my long-term, just non-specific back pain, movement helps.
Well, I remember with you when you've had flare-ups, because we've worked together during your flare-ups, and it's kind of every time you would come in, it's kind of like I say, well, how do you feel about this today? You'd be like, I don't know, or yeah, or just and it's kind of like opening up that communication of, but if we didn't move in certain ways,
then you won't
feel better either.
And in general, movement tends to make a lot of things feel better. And honestly, we're not going to destroy a client in a studio. You're not going to break them.
As long as you follow safety.
Follow general safety guidelines.
Yeah. You're not going to break them.
And listen to the client and hear what they have to say, and maybe their facial expression, and you can tell how they're holding themselves.
If they're breathing, did they stop breathing?
Yeah.
If they're holding their breath because they're like, that's a clue.
Yeah. So it's just always back to that critical thinking of, let's not just say we're eliminating this movement for the person.
Yeah. And I think it's just, we're just seeing it talked about so much, I think, in terms of this fear of teachers, like you said, maybe breaking their client. And I know as new teachers, we all, the first time you get anyone with any kind of injury, you're like, oh my God, what am I do? But it's like we talked about, it's like your client knows when they come in what bothers them in the outside world. And so just figuring that out with them.
I will ask them that sometimes when okay, so where is this bothering you in your day to day?
Is it all the time?
Is it noticing it?
Yeah. And I remember one client that the thing for her was her backwoods. She traveled a lot, sales or something, in her car a lot. And so getting in and out of the car was problematic in terms of it always flared things up. So it's common. Yeah. And so it's going, okay, well, and then as we're moving through things, going, okay, this is helping you because, and then, oh my God, yeah. So it seems so super simple. It's this is helping you get in and out of the car.
Right. But it is.
But it is. And it wasn't sitting down, it wasn't
it wasn't
the
same movement.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and essentially you just made me think of for sports or whatever movement you're trying to support, we don't want the cross training movement to look like that same thing. So again, back to golf, you don't want that to look the same as your rotation for getting in and out of the car. You're not going to have her just practice squatting down and slightly rotating over and over again.
Get down, get up, get down, get up.
And so it's just what can you do? Where can you go? What will support this movement? And I'm just thinking of one client I had last week where she came in, older woman, early mid 80s, and one of our students was observing my session with her, and she came in and oh my God, my ankle hurts. And I've worked with this client for a long time, so I know her demeanor.
Yeah.
And after the client's session, the student who was observing was like, oh yeah, I have questions about that. I was really surprised that you didn't freak out about her saying her ankle hurt. You still worked her through leg stuff and foot things, and
you didn't say you can't, okay, we can't go near that.
You can't do that, and so I had her work through certain things, and her ankle felt maybe not 100% when she left, but it was feeling a lot better than when she came in.
Because it moved.
Yeah.
Or you gave support.
We did movement in the right way. Now I'm not gonna go have her do like burpees or something intense.
Jump rope.
Jump rope. But the things we chose to do, I still had her work through the spot that she was saying at first was problematic.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I think also that brought it up. Like even today, I had a client who we've talked about that is older, but she walked 3 miles before she came to her studio here. And it was the same thing. The student said, I noticed that when she said, I'm feeling, it was like, I feel this. She said, you didn't like react.
Yeah.
And I said, no, because if it was really hurting, I would know, because she would react in a certain way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you said, knowing your client and not overreacting is also like, because it's like they're gonna go, oh yeah, I can feel, but it's okay. I'm fine. It's not shooting pain, radiating, burning, taking my breath away, making them scream.
Yeah. And often people will feel a little tightness or stiffness or achiness at first, and as they do a few movements through it, they're like, oh yeah, that's feeling better.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened when she left. She goes, I feel so much better.
Yeah. Because
she moved.
Yep.
And it's also like understanding your client. If you say, hey, we're gonna kneel and do this, or we're gonna do this, if they know that's gonna hurt them, they're gonna say,
yeah,
I don't feel like I can do that today.
Yeah. If kneeling is gonna bother them, they'll know. And so
because like what they're doing outside, that's the same thing. Outside they're figuring this out, and then they're coming in here. But if they are doing something outside and it's not an issue, then why take it away when they come in and not just give the support and the range of motion and all that we're talking about? Yep. It seems super simple, but it's like, it also I think makes teaching fascinating and interesting and not boring.
That it makes it so much less boring, and like that's why I think a lot of people end up with burnout when you think, oh, I can only do this for this and only do this, like very
imagine
rigid.
If you were going for that rigid, like, oh, these are the exercises for this is for this, that would get really boring because you're not discovering and learning and exploring and figuring things out, where the hour just goes it's gone.
Working with the client, getting feedback, it's a give and a take, right? We don't have to know 100% what's going to work for this client or not, but we can understand the general precautions and contraindications. We can know in general what we think may or may not work, and then ask them, like, oh, how do you feel about this? And let's see how this is today. Let's see where we can go with this movement.
Yeah, and it's like one of the students said, how did you know where to go with the client? It's like, what did you, and it's like sometimes you think, oh, let's try this, and then you realize, oh, this isn't working. Doesn't mean it was the wrong choice, because like you said, there's no one answer for an exercise. But did it speak to that client and support and range or whatever it is that they can move? Maybe not. Maybe not that day.
And sometimes when it doesn't work like that, I'll say,
it gives you more information too.
You understand more, like, oh, now I can see like why that wouldn't work, and then you're like, okay, well, you know what, let's try that on a different day. There's no reason to like push through it.
Let's move over here now. Because you're not gonna say, because this isn't working for you. It's like,
well, and that's the other thing. You don't want to say, well, you can't do that because da da da. It's like, oh, that was interesting. What were you feeling with that? Okay.
What was challenging there?
I'm like, okay, let's save that for another day. Let's move over here.
It's like that client today when she did something. I don't remember what it was, and her eyes kind of went like scrunchy, and I'm like, what's going on? She goes, oh, you saw that? I was like, yes, I did.
Yep.
She's like, it was a little challenging.
It's just so interesting and so fascinating. I just love studying the body.
I know, and that's just what makes our work so recharging in a way every time you come in with a client, because it could be the same client for 10, 20, whatever years, and every time they come in, it's different.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Mm-mm.
Even though everyone has their normal kind of movement patterns that you're kind of trying to go through and connect better.
Their normal safety exercises,
Yeah.
and
And that's just it. It's find when they have those pains, and it's like, what are their safety exercises? What movement makes them feel good? What makes them feel supported?
Right.
And pull those out.
And that's what you use for those flare-up times.
Yeah.
But we're not eliminating or restricting them.
No.
No.
That's our lecture. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, think about it. Like, we don't want to take any movement away from a client.
Yeah.
When they come in.
And just think about the movement that you're trying to ask them to do. Think about what they say is bothering them, and then again, maybe change the range, change the type of support they have on the apparatus you're using, or change the orientation of that movement.
Yeah, because it's just, again, you're discovering with the client. And I think it's important, like you said before we jumped on, but we did mention it, I do know because I checked it off, is letting them understand the connections to the exercise in their outside life.
Yeah.
Whatever it is they're doing.
It makes a big difference.
It makes a big
really understand. And then it means more to them. They're like, oh, that helps that.
Yeah. And it's like, we're, keeping you supported for this, or strong for this, or creating more stability for this, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yay! That's where the brain went. So if you have not checked out our new website, we should talk about. We kind of updated the website.
We did. Yes,
yeah.
we did.
So we've got our post-grad program kind of starting up with some of the workshops listed.
Mm-hmm.
We have our workshop in September here in LA. What else did we do on there?
I don't know.
I know. But check out our upcoming events, our
continuing
education,
the workshops on PilatesChicks.com.
Yay! And follow us on Instagram. Oh, we're on Reddit now.
We are.
We're on Reddit, so that's fun. We'll probably be jumping in. But thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye! Oh, that was good.
That actually worked. I'm like, let's find out what's gonna happen. Just like the topic. See where you can